Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're all here today. Thank you for coming. We're excited to bring you the DreamMakers and Brandjectory Pitch Slam. It's a brand battle for 5 brands that were part of Jeff Church's DreamMakers Accelerator, and we're excited to bring this to you today. What we're going to do today, I'm going to give a little bit of a background on how today's event is going to flow, and then we're going to have introductions, and we'll go from there. But quick introductions. If you don't know me, my name is Tom Malingo. I'm one of the co-founders of Brandjectory, along with my wonderful wife, Susan Bryanton. And today, also helping us host will be Jeff Church, the founder of the DreamMakers Accelerator and the founder of Suja Juice. I think you all know Jeff. So we're excited to bring this to you today. What's going to happen is we're going to go through some introductions, and then we are going to bring up our 5 brand founders. They're going to speak for 7 minutes. We'll have about 9 or 10 minutes of investor questions, and we'll introduce those investors in just a moment. But we are looking forward to an exciting event where we find out some good information, a great learning experience for everyone. And when we're done, you'll get a poll to pick your favorite or the one you think that did best, and then we will move quickly to announce a winner. So with that, for those of you who don't know Brandjectory, Brandjectory is an education, engagement, and exposure platform for brands under 10 million sales in the CPG industry, the kind of brands that are at Whole Foods, Sprouts, natural and specialty grocers across the country. And what we provide to them is extensive knowledge base of videos and educational material that helps them understand CPG from an investor's viewpoint, what investors are looking for, what investors want to know to prove they're a strong company. We give them a little bit of one-on-one consulting. And then what we do on a regular basis is a series of engagement meetings throughout the month where they have the opportunity to engage with fundraising experts, legal experts, all kinds of industry experts and investors through what we call the Space Toolbox, which is a problem-solving session, founder-only problem-solving sessions where we get together and solve as a problem as a founder team. We have opportunities for them to get coaching and orbiting, what we call the orbit. They get a chance to be coached by people that are in our orbit. Every month we have a founder investor meetup where the investors deliver a few comments on a topic of importance. Like this month we did risk from all levels, the way investors view them. And then we break into small groups. So there's one-on-one opportunities for learning, engagement, exposure, relationship building, contacts, everything like that. Every month we hold practice pitch sessions with investors. We love that because the brands get detailed help from seasoned CPG investors, and that's part of what we do here today. Is each of these brands? We're fortunate, and we were fortunate to have investor partners who are willing to spend time with them prior to this to help them really hone in on their pitch presentation. And that's why we're going to have a great event today with these great investors. So it's going to be a wonderful experience for all. So this whole learning mechanism is a big part of what we do at Brandjectory. We do a lot of it, and we do offer a lot of value for what we charge for brands to be on our service. So with that, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to pass you over to Jeff Church, the founder of the DreamMakers Accelerator and the founder of Suja Juice and a number of other companies. And he will tell you a little bit about DreamMakers and about himself. So with that, Jeff, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to Tom, Susan, and Jenna, and the rest of the Brandjectory team for the amazing event that they've put on. And you guys all know, because you've been a part of it and part of other ones before, likely, the amount of work and effort that goes into it. And, they've really done a phenomenal job, and I'm very appreciative of it. I'd also like to thank the coaches and the judges. The coaches have been amazing. I've been really amazed by the work product that the different brands have kind of responded to with the input from the coaches. So thank you very much for taking the time to spend with them. And then the judges, I know a few of you, and I just can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedules to to partake in this. I think it's all part of us paying it forward a little bit because other people have paid it forward, with us over time. So I always love doing that. A little bit of my background, though. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 25 years on my own. Well, never really on your own, right? But on my own, I've had 8 different companies that I've been CEO and either acquired or started. And of those, 5 have been, really great wins, and 3 have been just awful losses with gasoline sprinkled on the wreckage. So pretty brutal, but I've got a lot of scar tissue with lessons learned and stuff like that. But probably my most favorite of those 8 was Suja, and building that and creating what we were able to create with that, and all the challenges that went along with that, which were a lot. But what I realized in doing that is that in CPG there's a learning curve, and that learning curve is super steep, and it's a year or two where it's a couple cycles that go through of learning, and once you get down that curve, you kind of realize it. But until you get down that curve, you're going to make mistakes, and those mistakes are going to be expensive. And if they're on your own nickel, they're really, really, impactful. And I made a ton of mistakes with Suja, just things that bad advice I got, lessons learned, fatal flaws, different things like that that I learned. And now at this stage of my life, what I want to do is teach that and impart that back to founders, and founders that are at early stages, middle stages, even later stages, within CPG only, that want additional tools or want specific one-on-one, just want help, and improving their odds of success. And I feel like we can improve people's odds of success pretty significantly. There's still luck and timing that always play into everything, but just even moving it up, doubling their opportunity for success is a significant thing. So I started with this group, mainly with an accelerator that they all joined, and I realized the accelerator was last fall, and it was 3 hours, 8 or 10 different sessions, and interactive, virtual, and it was great. But I realized that that's like drinking from a fire hydrant for a lot of folks. So I wanted to create another opportunity to be with them. So we created a boot camp that's before that. So kind of have 3 months of a boot camp and 3 months of an accelerator. And that 6 months, I think, gives us a good amount of time to work with each other to, learn some of those skills and avoid some of those costly mistakes. So I'm happy to be here, thrilled to be here, actually. I'm thrilled to be the sponsor of the prize. So want to kick it back over to you, Tom. And again, great big thank you to everybody for being here. Oh, I also want to thank the brands that have put this amount of work into these 5 brands that put a tremendous amount of work in, to this to get here today. And that's in spite of their running. They have day jobs or other businesses typically, or this business that they're running full time. So it's a big time allocation for them, and very thankful for everything they've done too. So back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Jeff. Jenna, can we move forward here? There we go. I want to start by thanking today's judges, Doug Sharfstein, Erik Seidman, Jimmy Chen, Mollye Santulli, Natalie Sportelli. You will meet these people as we go on. They'll be asking questions, and I hope they'll say a little bit about themselves when it's their turn to ask a question. We'll call on them for some of the brands so we can get started. And I want everyone to know we'll be thanking some coaches too at the end. We were fortunate to have some of our other wonderful investors who partner with Brandjectory to spend time coaching each of these brands, which is something at Brandjectory we really want to do. We want to help brands be best prepared, and part of that is getting them in front of strong investors who can really help them understand how to present themselves and what do investors look for and want to see. And that's a big part of what we do in Brandjectory. And of course, all of our judges today are investors because we focus on fundraising. We focus on getting brands ready for fundraising. So that's why there's not a marketing expert here, and why there's not a branding expert. We want these brands to understand what investors are really looking for. And so with that, let's just go quickly over the brands that we'll be pitching today. We're going to have WheyUp, G7, Huxley, Nonny, and Tatsu Tea. We're going to introduce each one of these individually. And we're ready to get started. So we are going to bring on stage our first contestant in the pitch slam. And I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who is going to start the introduction. So, Susan, if you'll take yourself off mute. All right.
All right. Hello, everyone. Our first contestant pitching is Erik Rothschild, founder of WheyUp. WheyUp is a unique protein powder that combines 24 grams of clear whey protein with caffeine, a drink providing protein and energy and focus. Take it away, Erik.
Erik, you'll have 7 minutes to pitch.
Okay, first of all, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. And please
Okay.
share your screen.
Okay, let me just do that. So please don't start until I share my screen.
I won't start until you share your screen.
All right.
There you go.
All right, beautiful. Let me make sure this is all working here from the beginning. Perfect. Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me and thank you for attending. It's a real honor. My name is Erik Rothschild. I am the creator and founder of the branded company that's First Up. So everybody, let's get up with WheyUp. That's right, WheyUp. It's clear whey protein with a caffeine kick. Or as we like to say around here, have you earned your way up? Gather around, everybody. I've got a story to tell. It's a story of the underdog, story of perseverance. As an Army veteran and a lifelong athlete, I've literally been training 40 years of my life, and I'm a currently world ranked sprinter in the 60 meters and the 100 meters, and I'm 58 years old. And I've been doing this a long time. Going back 17 years ago, the fitness industry started writing a lot of articles about pre-workout protein. It's always been known for post-workout protein, but they specifically started writing about 20 to 25 grams of pre-workout whey protein. So at the time, I was a single father. My kids were 2, 6, and 8. I wanted to wake up. I wanted some caffeine, and I wanted protein like I read about. And I didn't want to make a plate of eggs and a cup of coffee and wait to digest my food. So in my kitchen, I took a blender, a sugar-free energy drink. I had strawberries to make it taste better and scooped in whey protein powder and blended my own drink. That was a sugar-free energy drink with protein powder. Drink it, go to the gym, have a great workout. As a consumer, never being in the beverage business, I looked for that combination on the shelf. As simple as it sounds, nobody put it together. And in 2007, I launched WheyUp. Over the next 4 years, I grew it myself until the brand was acquired in 2011 by a group of ex-Pepsi guys here in Phoenix, where I live. And to grow small brands nationally sounds great on paper. They just didn't know what they were getting into, ran out of money, went through a lot of brands. My trademark, WheyUp, the name went into bankruptcy in 2015, and I bought the trademark back, and I sat on it for the last 8 years until I met the right partner and relaunched it in January of 2024. I like to call my story, I'm a startup with a 17-year head start. Our mission is quite simple: to power athletes with a clear, clean, and complete fitness drink. And we have done that with our first launch of WheyUp. The problem was current offerings were only tailored to one benefit. As you'll see in future slides, WheyUp is 3 drinks in 1. Challenges with pre-workout products: too much caffeine, they make you all itchy and shaky. No hydration, poor nutrition. Challenges with protein: slow digestion, no energy boost. They don't taste good. Most women in the audience will probably already have a taste aversion to protein. WheyUp is totally different. As you'll see, they're fruit flavored, fruit based, super good in tasting. The solution for us was 3 drinks in 1, quite simply. High energy, caffeine, 150 milligrams of caffeine, hydration, 500 milligrams of coconut water powder, and protein, 24 grams of whey isolate protein. It's a tub of powder that you shake in a water bottle and you drink it. I drink it on my way to the gym and while I work out. Tastes like a juice. We have fruit flavors, blue raspberry, and fruit punch. Most people, when they sample it, they cannot believe that there's actually protein in this drink because it tastes like a juice. In addition, WheyUp also has 5.5 grams of branched chain amino acids, which are essential to growing and repairing muscle that you broke down in the gym. Also 100 calories, 0 sugar, no fat, no carbs. It actually is a checklist also of a weight loss drink as well. How we stack up against the competition, I'm not going to go through each one of these, but these are all clear whey protein. Clear whey is a specific type of protein powder on the market that drinks more like a juice. It's soluble in water. As you can see, WheyUp has more than anything included because we are the 3 drinks in one. We're about convenience. We are at the nexus of 3 large and growing categories. These 3 categories aren't going away. Protein powders have been around forever and they will be. Same with pre-workouts and hydration. Combined, it's a 52 billion market opportunity across these 3 segments. Our team is made up of myself. I am the creator and founder and the CEO. I also like to say I'm the lead brand ambassador because I go to all the events and, you know, I continue to train hard so I can look like my brand. Lee Sherry, I was once the director of advertising sales at hotels.com 20 years ago. And Lee was a counterpart there and I brought him on board to be the strategist for SEO and SEM. As I told you guys, I'm a world ranked sprinter and I'm really fortunate that my track coach and personal friend is here in Phoenix is Dan O'Brien, who won the 1996 gold medal in the Olympics for the United States in the decathlon. And he has a little piece of the company. So Dan comes and does events with me. It's pretty awesome having him and his gold medal at events when we do events. And of course, you've heard about Jeff, and Jeff was just on the call. I'm super honored and humbled to have Jeff Church on board as an advisor for WheyUp and for the company. I'll go through a little bit of slides on marketing and sales, how we deliver so basically our WheyUp consumer, I like to say it's really 18 to 65, male, female, 60-40. But I will tell you this, any event that I ever go to, and I've done thousands and thousands of sampling in person, women are always the ones that are most pleasantly surprised by the taste. They're blown away. Guys will drink anything if they think it's going to build muscle. Women, it has to taste good. And there is no question. I love when a skeptical woman comes up to the booth to try it because it literally tastes like Kool-Aid. Blue raspberry tastes like cotton candy. They're delicious, as you can see by some of our 5-star reviews over there on the right-hand side of the screen. Sales and marketing plans. Early retailers, low-hanging fruit, right? GNCs, vitamin shops of the world. Obviously, gyms through local distributors, DSDs that kind of service the local gyms in each market. We do that here in Phoenix right now. So we're kind of growing, you know, starting retail inch wide, mile deep. E-commerce, that's really where we're found. We're currently on Amazon and through our website. We've been both of those since January of 2024 have both been up and for sale.
1 minute, Erik.
I'm sorry?
1 minute, please.
Okay. All right. So one of the big things that we do is partnership at events. So this past weekend, I was just at the Spartan race, as you can see in the middle picture, by the branded WheyUp wagon, I call it, the Jeep. We sampled 2,000 people. We sold 100 units on the spot. We've already sold 25 units through our website with a discount code. Financial plan and blueprint was actually put together by Jeff Church and his team. I'd be happy to go over that, but it's a roadmap to a blueprint to acquisition, a little bit about Jeff's background. I'll get to the offer here. Just give me 1 second. It's right here at the end. And the opportunity, and this is the end, is asking $200,000 for 10% equity in WheyUp. The money will be spent on online marketing, more fuel for the fire, as we have everything in place. We just need fuel for the fire. Third-party testing, so we can get in the hands of professional athletes. And in 2026, we're in talks to be the title sponsor for all of Spartan Race, which is 50 events across the country, because they really love the drink and the combination of the two. So that's it, guys. 7 minutes goes really quick. When I was practicing,
and you did very good, Erik.
Yeah.
It was right on target there for the most part. So
Yeah,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are going to start the questioning with Erik Seidman. Erik, if you can unmute yourself, we'd love to hear what questions you have for Erik.
Sure. Tom, do you want us also to introduce ourselves when we have our first question?
Yes, please do. That's what I was hoping.
Great. Hi, Erik Seidman. I'm an active angel investor, a member of the largest angel group in Connecticut, Angel Investor Forum. I've been angel investing for about 7 or 8 years. Before that, I spent my career in the food and beverage industry, started my career working for 2 startups a long time ago. And I just need to recognize that all 5 judges' names start with S, which I think the chances of that are like 1 in a billion. So I don't know what that means, but I recognize that and just thought that's really strange. So Erik, not only do all of our names our last names start with S, but you and I are both Erik, so it's great that we're starting. One of the things that hit me when I reviewed when I reviewed your deck beforehand and when you just went through it is this assumption that consumers want all three of the of protein, energy, and hydration in a product, because heretofore that doesn't really exist. Maybe there's a lot of your competitors are one or two. Putting the three together, I think, is the major assumption is consumers want it and it will work. So talk us through your thinking and why you're positive that will work.
Yeah, so absolutely. Erik, thank you. Erik, to another Erik, thank you for being on board. I appreciate that. So my first go around with WheyUp when I launched the brand in 2007, I actually was involved for the 8 years of sampling WheyUp, protein and caffeine, and people are blown away by that combination. They're just like, wow, that's super unique if I can get 2 in 1. When I came around with this new relaunched formula, this time we launched in a powder form. My first version was ready to drink. This time I went powder. It's a little easier to produce, ship, and everything. I was looking at the hydration because I drink it when I work out. It is my pre and during workout drink. So while I'm sweating, I'm a boxer and a sprinter and a weightlifter. While I'm sprinting, I want to replace some hydration. So it just seemed like a natural progression for the product. And I'll tell you, Erik, I've probably sampled this now in person between the last year of events I've done. I've done 5 events in LA, probably 10 events here in Phoenix. I've probably gone through 25,000 sample cups over the last year. I can't begin to tell you I always say if somebody was behind me at the booth, that was an investor or Coke and Pepsi, they would invest on the spot. The reaction is just 100% overwhelmingly positive.
Thanks, Erik. My other question for you is, you talked about sales and marketing. I think you were implying that the focus for now is online. Can you talk about what in 2025 your split between direct-to-consumer online versus retail will be, and what will it be in 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, we're really focused more on continuing on building the brand online. We launched it in 2024, and we basically just had enough money to launch the brand and, do social media and do some marketing here and there. And then this year, we're actually increasing our spend in 2 ways. Online marketing, so we're spending a lot more money on Amazon search and meta search, and we're just now launching our Google campaigns, and then in-person sampling, because marketing gold for a beverage is how does it taste? And if you have 30 seconds where I can pour it to you. So those are our 2 things. So for 2025, we're going to pretty much strictly stay online, except here in Phoenix, because I can do local distribution in gyms. It's really easy. Here I have a distributor locally. Retail distribution will expand in 2026. We're going to add 2 new flavors of the powder in May of this year. And then we're formulating an RTD, a ready to drink, to go into retail for 2026. In my past 8-10 years experience with WheyUp was in the ready to drink space. So I have a lot of experience. So in 3 years, I would say we'll probably be 50-50 between retail, because retail will be a slower growth, where online, can happen pretty quickly if you get the right influencers, the right athlete, the right, search marketing behind it.
Thanks, Erik.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Erik?
I got lots of questions, but why don't we come back to me if there's time?
Okay. I'm going to ask Mollye to introduce herself and provide her questions to Erik. Mollye?
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Mollye Santulli. I'm an investor with Springdale Ventures. We invest across consumer at the earliest stages, so usually brands with 1 to 15 million in revenue, across food, beverage, alcohol, beauty, personal care, supplements, pet, anything consumer brands. And we're really excited to participate in this event. It's been wonderful working with the Brandjectory team over the last couple months on their events. And Erik, good to see you. I think we chatted a couple months ago. And thanks for the updated presentation. I really enjoyed it. I think my main question, kind of on the marketing strategy, is in terms of driving trial and influencers, and kind of how you're getting the product into the hands of as many people as possible. What are some of the strategies you're using to really drive trial at the lower level?
Yeah, so we do a lot of it is in-person sampling, right? Because that is the best. We have an affiliate program, but we really haven't had the funds to really invest in all that. I mean, you could get spread so thin with the funding between Meta and Meta and Amazon and Google and offline marketing. The influencer side and the creator side, we really haven't gone after yet, or the affiliate marketing side, because obviously everybody, wants to get paid for their influence, and the more influence they have, the more spend it is. So obviously, we started in 2024. Any funds that we raise, well, I'll tell you this. So we started in 2024, and my partner and my financial partner, production is not a problem. We have, I have an open checkbook for production. Marketing is where this investment would come in. So no worries about the product. It would really go towards marketing. I'm all about finding the right influencers, the right celebrities, or the right athletes. Our brand is not NSF certified, which is National Safe Sport. So it means pro athletes won't touch it. Most pro athletes won't touch it unless it's certified. There's a cost. It's $20,000 to get each batch certified. So everything you do, there's a cost associated with it. So a lot of that investment will be used towards doing these things that we can get certification, get in the hands of the right people. On the lower hanging fruit for some of the influencers, it's just something that we have to actually just do. And it's really that simple. We do a lot of social media. We've got 5,500 followers on our Instagram, and that keeps growing. As I said, we do a lot of in-person events, but we really just haven't gone after the influencer market because there's just so many places that you can spend money. I know it's necessary, but we just haven't really hit that plan yet.
Thank you. That's really, really helpful context. And then my only other question is on the clear protein. I guess given the rise of kind of clear protein brands and how well they're doing, how have you found it difficult to communicate kind of like when to use this product? I know you said that you're a fan of using it before and during your workout, but I'm curious how that messaging has come across to consumers, and what kind of feedback you're getting on when consumers are using this, and if they understand kind of why this is the best product for them to be using.
Yeah, well, I said it again. I said it before. I'll say it again. I wish I had people behind me at the booth when they would see consumers come up and see the initial reaction. Most people get it. They look at it and they go, "Wow, protein with caffeine. Wow, is that a pre-workout?" It's kind of intuitive in a way. All of our marketing material talks about pre and during workout. All of our videos that we send out. I do a ton of Instagram videos myself. I would call myself the lead brand ambassador. And we are very, very efficient in telling the consumer when to use this product. Now, we also say, wake up with a WheyUp. You're supposed to if you start your morning with protein, it kickstarts your metabolism. How many people have caffeine first thing in the morning? So it's a great first thing in the morning drink. It could be used many times throughout the day. Caveat is caffeine. If you don't want caffeine after 5 p.m., then you're probably not going to have WheyUp, but anytime between that works. So it just has multiple uses to it.
Okay, well, thank you, Erik. Wonderful job. We are at time. We are now going to ask our investors to use the pre-provided Google Sheet to score the brands. Just so everyone in the audience knows, they're basically scoring it on 4 different categories that involve financial strength, go-to-market strategy, product fitness, and what their real feel as an investor is for the chances of success. So while they do that, Erik, if you can take down your screen, and Jeff, if you could make a couple of comments about your experience with Erik, we would certainly like that.
Awesome. Clearway is amazing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Clearway, but I've just gotten familiar with it through Erik, and I've done some research on it. And like Mollye said, I mean, the segment is definitely on the rise. It's been around for a while, so it's just really kind of seems like it's finding its moment now. But it's literally a glass glass looks like this. I mean, it's completely clear. And it's pretty amazing. I think it's pretty disruptive. I'm really excited for Erik to consider the RTD, with it, and even potentially a shot if we can make that work. But what I love about Erik is, first, he's the pride of Pittsburgh, and being from Cleveland myself with Tom and I are both from Cleveland. Unfortunately, we grew up with hating people from Pittsburgh because the Pittsburgh Steelers always beat the Cleveland Browns. and it's pretty demoralizing. So
And still
anybody
do.
typically, is not on my friend list, but Erik is on my friend list, because he's a personal trainer by day, mad scientist, selling his brand by night or by every other time. And I think he's just done. I love what he says about a 19-year-old startup, and how he's got more energy than just about anybody I know. I mean, I'm 63, so I'm a few years older than him, and it's pretty embarrassing. I definitely don't want to stand next to him, but he's just passionate, and passion for me with founders is, passion and work ethic. Those are two things that they're hard to teach, and he's got both those, in spades, and he's willing to ask for the order from anyone. He's willing to talk to anyone. The fact that he is a top 25 ranked mastered athlete, is amazing, which all fits into his brand. So he's in a space that fits perfectly with his brand. So it's very authentic in his delivery. He's become a good friend, and I really think the world of Erik.
All right, thank you. I'm thinking our judges are just about done here. So Erik, I'm going to take you off of being with us here. You could be in the audience, and we'll hopefully see you later, okay?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Erik.
All right. Okay, Jenna, we're ready for our next one. And Susan, if you could unmute and please introduce our next contestants.
Sure. Next, we have Hannah Minardi and Austin Weiberg, founders of G7, a full-service venture studio developing healthy, better-for-you products, providing branding, web design, and digital marketing services to support brand growth. Take it away, folks.
And can you
Okay, hi guys. Hi, sorry. I think it kicked us out for a second, but one sec, I'll share my screen.
Hey, once you get your screen shared, we're sorry we got you up there a little bit late, but once you get your screen shared, we'll start your 7 minutes.
Perfect. All right, here we go.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Well, and you guys can see my screen, right? Sorry, I just want to make sure it's on.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. All right. Investing in a single startup is like betting on one horse. Wouldn't you rather own the racetrack? CPG startups bleed money before they even figure out how to scale, and investor risk is all tied up with a single exit strategy. During our combined 20 plus years of experience in e-commerce, branding, and CPG startups, we worked with dozens of agencies that failed to deliver results and plenty of brands that failed to exit. We built the solution, Eternal Venture Studios, a venture studio that diversifies risk and produces cash distributions, all at the same time. We are currently seeking a $20 million investment for Eternal Venture Studios to incubate, acquire, and scale investment through D2C optimization. EVS is our main holding company. EVS Holdings contains our equity investments, and G7 Studio provides performance marketing services to the brands that we invest in.
Here's how it works. We target early stage businesses with CPG products and contract their D2C marketing services through G7 Studio. Then we optimize their website, email, SMS, and paid ad strategies, and use the investment funds to increase ad spend, revenue, and profitability. During the 6 to 12-month contract of G7 services, profitability, revenue growth, and personnel are reviewed by the EVS board to assess investment potential. Post-investment, brands aim to achieve profitability or an exit within a 1 to 5 year period in which G7 services are contracted on a consistent long-term basis. From branding to scaling, our breadth of DTC services offer the ability to optimize and scale all of our brands. Alternatively, we have the full capability to create a new brand and scale it from conception. Some of our current equity stakes in brands include the following. EVS currently owns 100% of G7 Studio, the service-based agency. EVS owns a 0.5% equity stake in Diamond Brew Coffee and will always look to obtain more ownership in the near future. EVS also owns a 37% equity stake in Standard Self Care, a personal brand that we are currently looking to fully acquire and scale. Here are just a few of the amazing brands that we are currently under contract with G7. We will consult with our future board in order to assess if these investments are the right ones for EVS. In G7's first year of business last year, we were able to generate over $473,000 worth of revenue. With minimal team growth and expenses, we're also on track to double our overall profitability via our services-based studio. That led to a net income of $182,691.86 in our first year. The following projections are based on a minimum raise of $2.75 million. However, a $20 million raise would maximize our ability to diversify and heavily invest in our increased lead flow and produce more cash flow for our investors. With a total raise of $2.75 million, our 5-year exit strategy looks promising with a multiple of 7.6x and a 40% IRR, giving an exit value of over $20 million for investors. On top of the value of the exit, we're on track to produce an additional G7 distribution of $387,882 to investors from G7 services alone. This produces a total 5-year return of $21,368,177 from just a $2.75 million investment.
We designed a system that doesn't just support health and wellness brands, it supercharges their growth and your investment. Here are a few examples of how our strategy translates into real, scalable impact. Starting with Drip Dash. Just 2 months after launching our efforts with Drip Dash, we were able to increase their sales by 918%, increase their ROAS by 523%, increase their average order value by 26%, and increase their conversion rate by 231%. With Junie, 3 months after relaunching their website, we were able to increase their return on ad spend by 202%, increase their conversion rate by 86%, and increase their orders by 272%. Lutava, our very first partner, saw amazing results over a 12-month period, increase in 539% year-over-year revenue growth, 214% growth in orders, 94% increase in average order value, 219% growth in their conversion rate. We're producing these results over and over again, and now we're ready to make these brands our own with your investment and scale that success. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, feel free to take a look at some of our other case studies and shoot us an email or call to learn more.
Okay, and I'm sorry about the dog barking, but he wants to pitch too. So with that, I'm going to call on Natalie Sportelli of Bullish to introduce herself and start our questioning.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, team, for presenting G7 and the opportunity. It's great to be here with everyone and meet you. Bullish is not too dissimilar from what you're doing in terms of model, which is kind of cool. So we are an early stage consumer investment firm. We do pre-seed, seed, and Series A, B2C, US-based consumer brands and services. And we're also a creative agency. So we'll work with external larger clients and then plug in on our portfolio companies kind of on a bespoke basis, because we're all kind of career marketers who learned how to invest in startups. So that's a little bit about us. So I think my line of questioning, because I kind of understand the model and, how LPs get involved, where clients come in. I think I'm really interested in how you find and pick brands that have the returns profile that makes sense for the exits that you're looking to deliver for your own investors, as well as revenue. So just interested to learn more about how brands come to you or you go out to select brands to work with.
100%. I would say there's definitely a lot of KPIs in D2C that can kind of solve that problem for us, right? Obviously their profitability on COGS is the key. And then along with their return on ad spend and cost per acquisition, right? Especially on platforms like Meta and Google, which is mostly what we see being used and mostly what we help them scale and get their CPA down. So that being said, a brand can come to us with a high CPA and a low ROAS, and we'll fix that, right? Through obviously our kind of IP and the way that we function with these brands through our services. but a lot of the times we like to kind of stay around a more of like a $20 CPA for most products and more like a 75% or more product margin.
One thing that really stuck out to me too early on in the conversation was you had worked with a lot of agencies and they hadn't worked for you. And this is obviously something we hear all the time out in the universe, but would just love to hear your perspective on like where they had failed you, what will you be successful in or improve on in your model?
100%. We kind of flip the model on its head. I think a lot of times because we work with a very like founder to founder relationships, that's our like bread and butter, right? We never really let them go to an account manager that may be more junior level because they don't really have entrepreneurial experience most of the time, right? We're on every single call with every single one of our clients, and it's really the biggest thing that really changes why people even come to us in the first place. Because when they go to an agency and they're so young, normally what happens is they get led down the wrong path because they're playing telephone through an account manager who's then talking to the person who's actually executing on their strategy. A lot gets lost in translation. And oftentimes when they're asking these account managers questions, they don't have the entrepreneurial background to be answering the questions or the technological background to be answering the questions, whether it's in Shopify, Meta, email or SMS platforms or anything in between. So that's really the biggest difference that we see is our experience at the forefront of actually serving the customer, and then our team can execute based on the strategy.
Yeah, the other side of it too is just on the investment. We've seen time and time again between the brands that we were on the founding team of to the brands that we were also just consulting on, where choices were made to use agencies that were massive investments at a very early stage before they could even prove their results or had any revenue under their belt. And then they were just burning cash at too early of a stake. So especially with rebrands, you know, they would have to invest really early on, or sorry, branding from scratch. They would have to invest very early on, and then they would have to rebrand very soon after. But their first initial investment was so expensive that it just runs them so dry so early. So that's something we've definitely also solved within our pricing models.
Yeah, our pricing is very dynamic. And like Hannah said, it's built to push more of their funds that they have or going to acquire towards ad spend to actually grow the business. We call it working dollars versus more people. Spending money on more people oftentimes is not necessary. That's kind of where we come in. And then also just excess spend of like a rebrand or branding in the first place. We're probably around 20% cost of like your average branding agency, and about, I would say, another 20% of your average agency in general across performance marketing services as well. So low cost so that they can spend more on their actual marketing dollars so that they can move the needle further on revenue and optimization.
Last thing before I turn it over to the other judges, but one thing we really love to talk about here is like positioning statements, and I'm sure this is like super familiar to you, but we always kind of like to get a sense of like, what are you the one and only at? And I think partly you've answered it given the founder to founder connection and ability to help them, you know, make the money go further. But when you're looking at your overall positioning for where health and wellness and other types of early stage companies could go for this type of service, like what do you think that core one and only is?
Very good question. One and only, I'd say we are your one and only like outsourced CMO and team for that matter. Like I think there's a lot of agencies out there that have a core competency that focuses in just ads or just email and SMS or just website optimization. We have 20 years combined experience in everything from branding to everything I just mentioned, email, SMS, all of that stuff we are experts in, not just one thing. So I think that and collaboration with the founder experience really is our one and only. We're a one-stop shop. We're experts in pretty much everything D2C, branding, and everything in between.
And we like to build more in a holistic approach. I would say that's our one and only, is taking a very holistic approach to the brands that we work in. So when we identify a brand, if we've worked inside of it, we definitely understand if even their team is the one to invest in. So to answer your earlier question too, that's another way that we identify the investment opportunity is really getting inside of their brand and seeing if their founders and CEOs do really also have what it takes to go to the next stage with more investment too.
Yeah. That being said, I think there's also a lot of agencies that have a minimum requirement of revenue. Like they won't start working with a business if they just have $0 in revenue. We've started working with a lot of businesses from scratch. Like it just started to be an idea, right? And we help them put together their branding, their formulations, the launch and the scale part of it, and made them profitable. right? I think a lot of agencies don't focus on profitability and really just kind of suck money in because they're worried about like turnover more than anything. They have to sign 2 more clients to make up for a client they might kind of like abuse on the monetary side. And I think that's where we really shine, is we take that holistic perspective, apply it to an entrepreneurial perspective, and make them as profitable as fast as possible. And we have the examples to prove it.
All right, I'm going to ask Doug Sharfstein to take over the questioning from here. And Doug, if you could take a moment to introduce yourself, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. Great questions, Natalie, by the way. It's hard to go after somebody as bright as you. But I first of all want to say thank you, Tom, to you and the team. You guys have done a great job getting this together and organized. And Jenna for kind of getting the details there. And big thanks to the founders and the brands. I mean, I just, I sometimes I don't like, call judge, because what you guys are doing is so impressive and not easy. So kudos to you, and I appreciate you sharing all this great information. Real quick background on me. I spent most of my career in supply chain, servicing mostly large consumer brands like Procter & Gamble, Kraft Foods, Unilever, those types, doing in-store merchandising where we designed, assembled, and manufactured in-store displays, which I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with and may even buy and use. Also out of that business, we started a transportation third-party logistics company, that basically a truck brokerage, for lack of a better term, where we wrote our own transportation management system. And then both of those businesses we exited, both successful exits. The Strive Group was the in-store merchandising business, and Strive Logistics was the transportation company. So I've been doing some early stage kind of angel investing since about 2013, and pretty much on my own. Yeah, so I was introduced to Tom networking a while ago, so I appreciate the opportunity. And I'll try to just get a couple here. The first question you kind of answered, but what specific gaps in the market does G7 identify when selecting brands to work with, and how do you validate that the consumer demand exists?
Yeah, I would say the biggest gap on the agency side is kind of what we mentioned, right? Not a lot of agencies will take on a rev share for a brand that is doing $0 in revenue, right? Like a lot of them want like security because that's what their revenue depends on. We're willing to take that risk because really we use our agency as more of a lead funnel, right? Versus a massive agency. We definitely like pretty boutique services style, but I think that really it gives more of our investors, right? Considering ourselves investors, a consistent deal flow of new brands. And that's how we look at it. We never look at it, and that's why our pricing is also so flexible, is because as much as that money comes in from the service side and we are profitable, that's not like our overall goal. Our overall goal is not to design a massive agency. It's more to design lead funnels and clients that we can take on, look at them from an investor perspective and say, this is a good brand that we invest in. The people are great. The personnel is great. They're not overspending in areas that we don't want them to. So we kind of look at it from that perspective, which I think is hugely different than your average agency service.
And as far as the brands that we're seeing doing really well and how we identify what is success too, like Austin was saying, like getting involved in these brands from the service side, we are able to see based on like our extensive knowledge of how many brands that we're working on, we can compare and contrast who's accelerating at a faster pace. And we're able to identify from there where the market is really going and which different industries. And I would say we do also get like a very broad breadth. Like for right now, like a lot of the things that are hot right now, a lot of people know, but the NA market is huge. We've been able to work on a lot of the amazing, fast growing NA brands. Also the hydration space, also huge right now, and coffee. I would say like those three right now were really exceptional for us over our first year. But there's a lot of other markets too that are doing really well. And from us being involved, we have been able to like really carve out a category. I know we shared a little bit about Lutava, but that brand in particular, there is no other equivalents on the market right now. So we actually proved that entire concept in 1 year and built out very proprietary products accordingly.
Doug, we have time for one quick question.
Sure. One quick question. I'll skip my second one. That's the last one. What are the biggest execution risks for G7 in the next 12 to 24 months? And how do you guys plan to address those? And like you have a crystal ball.
I think we kind of do have a crystal ball to a certain extent because we're inside of these companies. Right? Like we work with them every single day, with their founders every single day, with their teams every single day. And that's our crystal ball specifically to like angel investors and very young stage investors. I think investing at such a young stage of a company, if they're doing $50,000 a month, is never going to be guaranteed. But that's what we aim to solve, because not only are you investing just in the brand for equity, you're also investing in our studio, which is already cash flow positive, limiting your risk in the future, right? Like we're all about risk mitigation, and we want to make sure that not only like you're not an average investor going in and not diversifying. We look at it like a real estate play where you get an old house, right? Or an old business, you put money into it and optimize the house and you can sell it for more. Your value add is huge there. And we are the ones in control of that money. Oftentimes our contracts will include that if we're investing into you, how much of that money is going towards your ad spend versus other things that might not be as cash flow positive for you or profitable for you. Things like minimal PR and efforts like that are more, or overspending on branding, things like that are super crucial for us not to spend money on when we can do those in-house, take care of them for much cheaper and place more money towards that ad spend to actually scale the brand.
I'm going to rudely interrupt here, and that's all the time we have. So I thank Hannah and Hutson for being part of this, and Doug and Mollye for their questions. So Jeff, while our investors do their scoring, could you tell us a little bit of comments of your work with G7 and what's going on with you when you think about this brand?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And great job, Austin and Hannah. I felt like it was a Shark Tank. I felt they're ready for Shark Tank. They are good friends and of mine, and I think what I like about G7 is they're particularly early trend identifiers in certain segments that are popping, and they've done a good job in nurturing a few of those segments. One of which is the adaptogen RTDs right now. And they've done a really nice job doing that. I think they're really dialed in well with the performance marketing. And I love the performance marketing because it brings metrics and numbers to our ability to judge marketing that are very difficult to get in brick and mortar, obviously. They work with some really cool brands, IO, Craze, Junie, Flurry. They're all really, great young brands that are I think have a lot of potential. Hannah has just a very purposeful, impact-driven life from Hawaii, and just a really beautiful person inside and outside. Is also a Nike running athlete. She's on the board of UCLA's Resnick Center for Brain Health and Mental Resources, and she's really got a full package. And Austin, has I think found his passion in combining product marketing with his personal interests of health and wellness. And then I think he realized, from there how brands have to win in CPG, in D2C. And then he immersed himself in D2C, became kind of a student of that for a number of years, and learned a lot of it and learned how to work with celebrity brands. Did a really nice job, and then he kind of came back, and he and Hannah formed this company. And I think they've done a really nice job of building it and in a thoughtful way.
All right. Well, thank you, and thanks to Natalie and Doug again. I'm going to thank Hannah and Austin, and we'll put you back in the audience here, and in a few moments,
Guys.
We'll bring you back, and we'll go from there. So, all right. Our next hang on a second while I change that role. There we go. Should be going into, all right, here we go. Jenna, if we could go forward, and I think if you can bring up Simon. And with that, I'm going to ask Jimmy to lead off the questioning in the next round. And so with that, I'm going to let Susan do an introduction here.
All right, now comes Huxley with founder Simon Solis Cohen. Huxley is a superfruit energy drink with real fruit juice and great taste. Take it away, Simon.
Simon, we can see you now. Great. Can you share your screen?
Yep. 1 second.
And I want to apologize to the judges. You didn't get Simon's samples because we had a little change in the order here, and he jumped in here. So we apologize for that. I'm sure he'll get you some after this, but I can tell you, Susan and I tasted it, and it's delicious. So with that, I will turn it over to Simon. Simon, you have 7 minutes. The next time you see me, it'll be time to start wrapping up.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Simon Solis Cohen, founder of Huxley, a superfruit energy drink that's an all-natural and healthier alternative to conventional energy drinks. But let's rewind for a second, and I'll tell you how we got here. I start my day with a cappuccino, but by midday, I need a boost. The problem, energy drinks just didn't meet my need. Too much sugar or alternative sweeteners like sucralose or stevia, way too much caffeine, and artificial ingredients and preservatives that just taste terrible. Being caffeine sensitive, I wanted something balanced and clean. I figured if I felt this way, others probably did too. I did the research and the data was clear. Most consumers aren't happy with their energy drink. 72% want lower caffeine options. And while 70% say taste is the most important factor, only 30% actually love the taste of their energy drink. Coefficient Capital's latest report confirms it. Energy drinks are seen as unhealthy and don't spark joy. The market is begging for a better tasting, healthier option. But here's the thing. Two things can be true at the same time. Consumers are dissatisfied with their options, yet, according to Spins, energy drinks are the fastest growing beverage category. Last year, it was a $21 billion market, and it's projected to grow 33% over the next 4 years. To me, this screams one thing: opportunity. My vision is clear. Huxley will redefine the energy drink category just like Olipop redefined soda. I'm sure most of you have heard that Olipop closed their Series C just last week at a $1.85 billion valuation, and that's after just 6 years. They proved that a great tasting, truly better for you formula can win big. Huxley is poised to do the same in energy drinks. So why am I the right person to do this? Simple. I've been preparing for this my entire life. I grew up cooking with fresh fruits and vegetables in my grandmother's garden, which led me to the Culinary Institute of America and a career as a chef. Whenever I set my mind to something, I want to be the best in it. I worked in 3 different 3 Michelin-star restaurants before transitioning to the wine industry, doing sales and marketing in-house in Napa Valley. In 2018, I moved to Minneapolis and launched a beverage marketing agency. Over 5 years, I scaled the company, then had an exit in June 2023. The very next day, I got to work on Huxley, investing what I just made selling my company into building a better energy drink. Using my culinary and wine background, I set out to solve a problem, creating a great tasting, healthier energy drink without compromise. I crafted Huxley with 100% real ingredients. It starts with 90 milligrams of caffeine from Cascara superfruit, the outer husk of the coffee bean, typically discarded as food waste. We upcycle it into a sustainable, plant-based caffeine source. It's naturally sweetened with just 5 grams of organic cane sugar and blended with real fruit juice for a delicious, authentic flavor. Since caffeine naturally dehydrates your body, we boost it with electrolytes for hydration. And because energy drinks often cause crashes, we add 50 milligrams of L-theanine for a smoother, sustained energy boost. Nothing on the shelf compares to Huxley. With our moderate organic cane sugar, gentle caffeine boost, low calories, and added functionality, we've created the next evolution of energy drinks. Simply put, Huxley doesn't have that nasty fake sugar aftertaste. When I speak with category managers and grocery buyers, they literally thank me for finally making a drink without all these weird sweeteners in it. And customers, they already love it. Over the past 11 months, we've been laser focused on winning in our backyard, prioritizing retail growth through unifying Keiki. We've launched in most major Minnesota chains, including Target, Hy-Vee, and Fresh Time. At Fresh Time, we've climbed to the top 1% of the category, and now are the #3 selling energy drink brand in Minnesota, trailing only Red Bull and Celsius. Looking ahead to the next 3 years, we're sticking to our disciplined regional strategy. This year, we're focusing on winning in the heartland, expanding in the Midwest, Colorado, and Pacific Northwest. We're intentionally doing this backwards, holding off on the coast until we're in a pole position with strong data to negotiate with retailers. We're building our story door by door, proving velocity before scaling nationally. I built an incredible team to execute this plan. My right hand, Bethany, left my previous agency with me to lead our marketing. Josh, our new sales director, was previously director of sales at Poppy and brings 20 plus years of experience from brands like Red Bull and Sparkling Ice. Mike serves as our fractional CFO by day, while he's head of equity capital markets at the investment bank Seaport Global. Plus, we're fortunate to have expert strategic advisors guiding us through this next phase of growth. Looking at our unit economics, we're already delivering impressive margins in year one. With a competitive $2.99 SRP, our fully loaded COGS are just 65 cents, giving us a 50% gross margin. And yes, that includes all freight in and out. Our contribution margin is $5.76 per 12-pack case. That's 42%. I'm sure the seasoned investors on this call know that margins like these are rare for businesses under a year old. I have negotiated like heck to get here. I do not believe in going fast and breaking shit. Instead, I believe in sustainable growth with a focus on profitability. This year will reach 1,600 doors, generating just under $1 million in sales with a $700,000 burn. Over the next 2 years, we'll scale to 3,500 and 8,500 doors, reaching $5 million and $12 million in revenue. By 2027, we'll be profitable with a positive cash flow, creating an exciting opportunity to build upon until the time is right for an exit. Speaking of investment, we've just kicked off our first fundraising round. We're raising $500,000 in a safe with a $5 million cap and 10% discount. Later this year, we'll raise another safe as we continue delivering results, paving the way for a formal Series A in 2027. To wrap up, here are 5 reasons why Huxley will win. First, we have a great tasting and innovative formula that fill a clear gap in the market. Second, I'm a proven founder, having already built and exited a company. I have a clear vision for scaling Huxley and will work my ass off to do it. Third, we already have healthy margins, setting us up for profitability and strong investor returns. Fourth, our disciplined retail strategy is already delivering results just 11 months in. And finally, Huxley is more than just an energy drink. It's an opportunity to transform the category. Just like Olipop redefined soda, we have the chance to revolutionize energy drinks for the better. We're looking for investors who believe in this vision and want to be part of something game-changing. Join us, invest in Huxley, and help build the future of energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Great presentation. As I mentioned, I'm going to ask Jimmy to start off because he hasn't had a chance to introduce himself yet. So, Jimmy, if you would get started. I recently met Jimmy about 6 months ago, and he's been a real supporter of everything we do at Brandjectory. So I want to welcome Jimmy Shen here.
Hey everybody, Jimmy Shen here. I'm a partner at 531 Capital. We're an early stage consumer micro VC investing in pre-seed, seed, and Series A consumer brands and infrastructure. So on the brand side would include, food and bev, beauty, personal care, everyday household products, pet, and also on the infrastructure side, manufacturing and supply chain. And so my background's in private equity, focused on consumers. So have seen kind of the whole landscape from a capital market standpoint, from consumer value chain investments to brands across 2 different private equity firms. And our belief here is that we can apply that same private equity rigor from a financial standpoint into consumer venture capital and quantify the thesis and gain a very high conviction within portfolio companies that we invest in. Simon, really great presentation. I'm especially impressed with the margin profile and how you're thinking about the go-to-market strategy from a geographic standpoint. Typically, people go from the coastal cities, California, New York, and you're kind of doing the opposite and going after the middle of America, which I felt like was a very unique way to approach scaling and distribution and go-to-market. So, a very, very fascinating brand. Wanted to just start off with how you're thinking about the positioning, because beverage is so tough as a category. Consumers, obviously shop very different in middle America versus the coastal cities. So I'm wondering, what kind of position you're leading with and what's been hitting with the consumer in retail. Is it the health focus, the lower caffeine, or, is this the sustainability angle? If you can give some commentary on that, that'll be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. That's a really great question. So the best compliment I get from people is, I don't drink energy drinks, but I drink Huxley. that is music to my ears. And so really what we're doing is two things. One is we're going after incremental growth. We're trying to bring in new consumers to this category that never would shop in this category because simply they're scared. They're scared of the existing brands out there with the hyper masculine packaging, taste and ingredient profile and health profile. I was doing a demo this weekend at a grocery store, and I had this fantastic woman I was with. She was probably baby boomer age, I'd say, and she loved it. She bought 4 of them right there on the spot, and she said, "Oh, where's it in the store?" And I said, "Oh, the energy drink aisle." And she goes, "Oh, I never shopped there." And so to me, that's an amazing touch point right there of how we're bringing a new customer to this category. We're also an off-ramp for people who are drinking these conventional energy drinks. You all know those names because they want something healthier. I can't tell you how many people I meet where they talk about it almost in the sense of like, I know I shouldn't be drinking it, but they've just never been given a better option before. So we're here to be that better option and give them that opportunity.
Gotcha. And what would you say is something that when you're scaling this brand, how you're thinking about differentiation, defend against, the threat of, new entrants, right? Like Celsius and Nonny New can easily make a 100-gram caffeine energy drink as well. And they have the distribution as well to kind of do so. So it's kind of like playing offense and defense at the same time. If you can give some perspective on, how you're trying to win this busy category, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's no doubt. Like, right, let's be honest. Anybody can rip anybody off in CPG, right? We've all seen it done a million times. So the way we're going to have to win, like, I love how you said offense and defense, is a few things. I'm a football guy, so I think in those terms as well. For me, right now, we're on offense because we're so early, and I don't think the big guys are too worried about us quite yet. And so for me, offensive line is everything. So it's about the blocking and tackling. I believe we will win, and I know we're already doing it in store. I'm not focused on digital. I'm not focused on out of store. I'm focused in winning in store. So what does that look like? That's the merchandising, that's displays, that's promos, that's execution. We're in there, my team and I, every day. We're in multiple stores. And so that's why we're starting small. We're growing really disciplined, and we're focusing in cities where we know we can flood the zone, go inch wide, mile deep, and make sure if we're winning in store, it'll take care of itself. Versus all the other bigger guys, sure, they can spend way more money than us. They can make a lower caffeine option, but then that's where brand comes in. Brand can also really be that moat. And we're already gaining that trust because this is our core, while those other brands, that's not their core business. And so I think they won't necessarily be the most authentic storytellers bringing a product like that.
Gotcha. And on the back end of things, I feel like the supply chain is also quite challenging, but you're yielding 42% contribution margins, which are best in class for beverage. Wondering if you can give some perspective on how you've been navigating through kind of the wild, wild west of the beverage supply chain.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I've had a pretty easy go of it. I know it's only going to get harder as we scale, and, we're prepared for that. Obviously, we'll put in things like dual sourcing as we get bigger and bigger. For me, it's just been working with really good partners, right? And so, we have an amazing co-packer that we work with. We're the smallest client they have. They work with many brands that I'm sure you all invested in or know. And so just having a really good partner like that's great. And as I said, I negotiate like heck. I mean, that is something I'm just relentless on. And so things like our cans, right? So we just switched to these new printed cans. And I used to have a shrink sleeve like most startup beverage companies. And I found a great, massive can supplier that believed in me and is willing to give me insane, deal and opportunity to make this work. So for me, it's just getting other vendors to believe in this mission and want to join along and be part of it. And we've been able to just get these amazing suppliers together. And we haven't even played the, when we scale, we'll drive down cost card. I mean, this is just bare minimum quantities just to be able to already achieve this.
Gotcha. And last question before I pass it off is, what's the largest cost post contribution margin that you've seen in the P&L? And what's the capital requirements of the business going forward, and what you're going to use the capital for?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of the capital, to answer that and the cost, so for us, obviously, a big thing is marketing. I mean, that's how we're going to have to win here. But for me, I don't spend any money in digital. I don't believe that is the path for building this. And so my idea of marketing cost is in store. So demos is the number one marketing avenue we invest in. Coming from the wine business, I was the dude in a tasting room pouring you wine samples, trying to get you to buy the wine. I know that when you put liquid to lips, when you get people to try it, they love it. And because at the end of the day, all health benefits aside, you have to win with taste. No matter if it's healthy or unhealthy, it has to taste good. And so we know that when we get people to try it, we know they buy it. We see it all the time. And so for us, that's a really big focus of us, is being able to invest in the demos, invest in the retail execution at the store level. And we know if we keep doing that, we're going to be able to win.
Love it. Thank you, Simon.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mollye to continue the questioning. We have about 3 or 4 minutes. So, Mollye?
Awesome. Hi, Simon. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Great job on the pitch. I think my main question is kind of with the brand, and you talked a little bit about this with communication with your consumers. I guess as you think about where this goes long term, is sticking to the outdoor brand, like kind of the vision, I guess, like when you think like if you had all the money to spend on marketing, I guess is another way to put it, what are some of the things that you would do besides demos really to build out this ecosystem and brand story that you've already started to develop?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, without a doubt, looking at our can art, our inspiration does come from the great outdoors, from the national parks. Each flavor, tangerine, Teton, strawberry, sequoia, mango, mesa, they're all named after a different national park. And that was to be able to provide a vehicle for storytelling, which was really important, right? We wanted a brand that literally was rooted in nature if we're making a natural product. But by no means is that the only customer or where we're focusing. Yes, we've done pop-ups at REI. We sell a lot, and it's a slam dunk. But we also have a partnership with Lululemon, and we have fantastic events and things like that we do with them and hit their core consumers. So we really have a wide breadth of people who actually buy this product outside of people who identify themselves as just outdoorsy. But to answer the second part of your question, it's really about engaging in the community level. And so being able to do more and more events to create more of that awareness. For instance, we're sponsoring the marathon here in Minneapolis. We did it last year. We're doing it again this year. We sold a lot of product and met a lot of consumers and still have them buying today. And so it's being able to just take a simple playbook we've made here in the last 12 months and rinse and repeat in other cities, right? So we want to be able to go to Denver and do the same thing we're doing, win at the store level, be really involved in the community. We have a college brand ambassador program we're doing here at the University of Minnesota that's been wildly successful, helping us get sales really high up at the target on campus. And so we once again take that rinse and repeat and just scale city by city.
All right,
Awesome.
Simon, thank you. Mollye and Jimmy, thank you for your questions. We're at time here. So I'm going to once again ask the investors to take a moment and score the brand, and ask Jeff to give us a couple of minutes of comment on Simon and Huxley.
Yeah, awesome. Great job, Simon. When I first met Simon, it was probably within 9 months of me closing my energy drink company. So I was very honest with him about energy drinks and the space, and he was completely undaunted. I mean, he was acknowledged all the issues, but he was completely undaunted, and that's what he's been the whole time. And I keep saying to him, "You're not going to have these velocity rates that you're having," and he keeps showing me that he's having these velocity rates. So I mean, I think he's really got something going, and I think he's been very thoughtful. When I think about Simon, he's been thinking about the right things. And printed cans, I mean, how many brands have printed cans going into their second year? How many brands have a 65 cent per can COGS cost in their second year and a 50% margin? I mean, really thoughtful things. I personally like the tangerine Teton. That's my favorite. That's my favorite one. I didn't know that Simon was a CIA trained chef until just now. So that's really good to know. I value that pretty highly. And I also value with Simon, he's had an exit of a business, and it was a beverage marketing agency. So that all plays in well with marketing. I think a funny story that you probably he didn't mention, I don't think, was that he got the idea to start Huxley in a November timeframe and looked up when the big trade show was for it, and it was in March at Expo, and it was 130 days away. And from the idea generation to launching it with a booth at Expo, it was just 130 days. So I mean, he's definitely a get it done person. He's probably been the most active in the financial models that we've been working on. So I just really think the world of Simon and Bethany and the team that they're building and what he's doing.
All right. It looks like our investors are done. So I am going to put Simon back into the audience. And Simon, hopefully we'll see you in a little bit. And
Thank you.
if we can get started. Hang on. And Jenna, if you can move the next person up. Okay, there we go. And Susan, if you would mind introducing the next speaker.
Absolutely. We will now hear from Lane Matkovich, founder of Nonny, a non-alcoholic beer crafted with real ingredients and nothing extra added. Take it away, Lane.
And just share here.
Hi, Lane. If you can share your screen, we'll give you 7 minutes to tell your story.
Excellent.
All
Am I
right,
able to see
go
that?
to it. Yep, we can see everything and we can
Excellent.
hear you fine.
Great. Well, I'm Lane Matkovich. I'm here with Nonny non-alcoholic beer based here in Vancouver, BC. Nonny was founded in 2022 with my brother Lee after we realized that beer was tied to so many fun aspects of our life. And we realized that it was having an impact on our mental and physical health. But instead of removing beer from our life, we wanted to just replace it with more beer and just do without the alcohol. So I want to highlight that non-alc is not a trend and it is definitely a cultural shift. We are seeing education and awareness at all-time high. We're seeing the top health podcasts in the world highlight the impacts of alcohol. And in this case, this podcast had 7 million views on YouTube alone. We're seeing a massive cultural shift where millennials and Gen Z are being more conscious of their alcohol consumption, and 50% of the population is drinking alcohol, is actively looking to reduce their intake. And we're seeing the market adapt. We're seeing the largest alcohol companies in the world forecasting 10 to 20% of their volume to be non-alc in the future. And we're even seeing non-alcoholic beers in Whole Foods, as Athletic, for example, become the top selling beer in Whole Foods across alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So with this growing demand, there is a problem. There's a gap between the consumer demand for non-alcoholic beer, craft non-alcoholic beer, and the lack of quality options that exist, and specifically on premise, which is in the bars, restaurants, and places that we love to drink beer. Consumers that drove the $29 billion craft beer boom in the US are now looking for a quality craft non-alcoholic version where they can then moderate and switch to when they please. And many of these consumers still have an outdated negative perception of the non-alc beer category based on old entrants of the in the category itself. And then we're seeing this access where there is starting to become more and more great options in the market, but they're not quite making it into these amazing settings where we typically drink beer in our society. So the solution that we've come up with is a great tasting beer brewed here in Canada, traditional beer ingredients, and we use a non-alcoholic yeast, which avoids the high processing methods that we feel that removes a lot of the taste and flavor profile. So we are building our beer up from the ground in traditional styles to keep as much flavor as possible. We are pasteurized, so we don't have any preservatives. And we're looking to improve access and the experiences on premise. We want to further invest into a giraffe program so we can drink beer in the traditional sense. And it's an exciting problem to tackle in the non-alc world. And by focusing on these non-alcoholic accounts, we are driving trial for all the retail businesses that we are entering in the market. So right now, Nonny has 3 core SKUs, a Pale Ale, Pilsner, and a West Coast IPA. And we also have a seasonal program that we're excited to experiment with, and we've created 2 SKUs over the last couple of years. So when we look at the beer category as a whole, we're seeing it balloon to 33 billion in 2030. That's a global beer market and driven by a 7.4 CAGR. And when we look at the adult non-alc market in the US, is getting to $800 million, and with 85% of that being the non-alc beer market. And within that section, craft beer is driving 2x growth of the regular non-alc beer. And a lot of people ask, what about the big players? So, but what we're excited to see is the non-alcoholic brands are now outperforming those top alcoholic companies that are spinning off product extensions. And what I'm most excited about is expanding the occasion. 60% of non-alc beer sales are incremental to the category and not cannibalizing the traditional beer market, but we're pulling from other non-alc beverages and expanding that occasion into new settings. So our channel strategy is to focus on-premise first. These accounts act as mini influencers. We are now in five-star hotels, Michelin star restaurants, your favorite dive bars and breweries. And now we're trying to scale that channel into Cactus Clubs, Earls here in Canada, so some high-end chains, and be on location where beer is exciting. We're in many of the ski resorts here in BC, and we have now gone into on-premise, and we want to build in tandem with the off-premise. We want to build in tandem with our on-premise approach. We're seeing great velocities at Whole Foods West here, and excited to expand further into the liquor store channel, as 90% of our consumers are also drinking alcohol. When we're looking on the e-commerce side of the business, we're seeing best-in-class metrics with 45% repeat rate, speaking to consumers coming back, as well as 50% of our sales online being B2B.
Wayne, you have about a minute and a half left.
We really believe that beer brands are built on community and not just on the grocery store shelf. So we are assembling a curated team on the ambassador program for athletes and comedians. We are driving trial through grassroots events, and heavily investing into getting cans in hands there. Driving our social media by elevating our partners and focusing on entertainment, and then bringing our boxes off shelf with in-store marketing and promotions. So there's been some amazing entrance into the market, but we really think we can win on craft taste, being a dedicated non-alc brand who's focused on bringing beer into the on-premise channel. So Nonny was founded by myself, my brother, and now surrounding ourselves with a great team of advisors to go into the next round of Nonny. And so if we're looking at our financial summary, we launched in 2022 and 4x our sales into 2023. We grew our revenue into 2024 with a 28% growth, and have a path to increase our gross margin from 34% to 50% in 2026. And looking to create a velocity first approach, increase our distribution, and open banners that we've turned down in 2024. And we're seeing great results. We're seeing we've been awarded #1 non-alcoholic beer in Canada in 2023, waiting for the 2024 results. We are the top emerging businesses in BC, given by BC Food and Bev, and amazing online reviews.
30 seconds, Lane.
Thank you
There
for
you
your
go. Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you
sorry,
there at the end.
I had my own time. I had my own timer I thought it was going off of.
I wanted to try to keep you close here. So
we're racing through.
All right. So with that, I'm going to ask Jimmy to kick us off again with the questioning here. Thank you very much, Lane. And by the way, I've been as someone who doesn't drink beer at all, I have really been enjoying the samples that Lane sent. Nonny is a very delicious non-alcoholic beer. So my 2 cents. All right.
Great to hear. I'm glad it didn't explode in transit in the winter here.
I resonate with that too, Lane. I've got the samples, and thank you so much for sending. They were actually very, very good, and I'm like lukewarm on Athletic, to be honest. So it was a good little present to have before the presentation today. Good stuff. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the on-prem strategy. It sounds like Athletic Brewing hasn't really played in that lane yet, and wanted to hear your perspectives on some of the barriers to entry into entering on-prem and the competitive advantages that you have in that channel.
Yeah, so I think the biggest, it just excites me the most. Like, this is where traditional beer brands have been built, and we when I touched on it briefly, like they act as mini influencers. They have the following of their own. Like a great on-premise location has tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, and if we can activate with them, and we can kind of like work together and like build that as basically our influencer program. the big hurdle right now that we're trying to solve is safely delivering a draft program to give you that full experience of beer in that traditional sense. So there's some hurdles there in terms of distribution, making sure that's cold chain, making sure there's pasteurization is you want to make sure is priority, and then there's education going into these bars and restaurants to make sure that quality and like health and safety is number one. So it does take that extra level of attention to onboard these accounts, but I think it's such a huge brand play, and it's just a great experience. So it does block a lot of, like, say, local companies by not having pasteurization, not having the right channels, not having the bandwidth to educate.
Gotcha. And is Nonny on tap or is it in a beer can?
Yeah, so we're in cans. So a lot of our on-premise right now are in cans. We do have draft, and right now we're servicing that flash pasteurized at the brewery, cold chain, and then educating each one of those accounts. So we have a mini case study on that, and it's been incredible. We expected people to draw down on their kegs quickly, but the rate of sale on that has been incredible.
Gotcha. And another question is just a general industry kind of question is the belief on the market size big enough being, right now there's a lot of players coming into this market. This category has become quite busy. Obviously, it's growing quite a bit as people realize the health issues associated with alcohol. But, it becomes very, very tough from an investor standpoint when the market size is still the way it is, because beer is a big category, but non-alc is still a very small segment of that. How do you see that market kind of growing and this category evolving, and what is Nonny going to do to kind of pioneer that?
Yeah, so I think the point that I touched on is like the incremental growth. So there's just so many new occasions. Like, so it's not just in these occasions where you would typically have a beer. It's expanding it. For myself, like I drink it through the day as if it would be as a substitute for sparkling water. Like, I'm just like, that's my palate. I don't go, like, I'm not driven towards sweet. I like a bitter, hoppy, and like if I can, like, that's like, oh, during the workday, it's go to the grocery store and grabbing a to-go lunch and grabbing a beer so you can enjoy that. Like, it's just like, I think the growth isn't just replacing beer or people moderating. I think there's just like people changing the perception of what beer is and then adopting that into their lifestyle. So I think that side of the like that is just growing more so than just like the replacing of or cannibalizing the beer category.
Gotcha. And last question is, what are some of the initiatives that Nonny is doing to position that sort of use case growth, right? Because Athletic Brewing kind of pioneered that for, I know they were at marathons and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you're doing from a messaging standpoint that, executes what you're trying to build here from a brand building standpoint?
Yeah, so I guess in expanding the occasion, we've been brought on to a lot of like the head offices in Vancouver, and then that's like like bringing that use case into like a office setting. So like instead of stocking the fridge with just like sodas and sparkling waters, have a beer available for that person, and that's just like I feel like a great use case and a great way to grow in exposing people into that channel. And events have been huge for us. So I never thought I'd see, we go to the Vancouver Mountain Film Festival. There's a room full of, 300 or 400 people, and half of them are, walking by the alcoholic cooler and then coming to grab a Nonny. It's a weekday. They just want to go out and do something fun and socialize. And they're being drawn to, oh, I can have a beer. I'm driving home. I'm getting up and I'm going to work tomorrow. And I think just like being in these like grassroots local events is definitely a big part of expanding that category.
All right.
Awesome.
I'm going to ask Doug if he's got a question. We have time for probably one question, Doug.
Yeah, sure. First of all, great to meet you, Lane, and thank you for the samples as well. I am a beer drinker, and I tend to drink alcoholic beverages, but these were excellent, and I love the packaging as well. So thank you for those
Great to
samples.
hear.
Just touching back on the, on the premium placement, how do you plan to balance the positioning with, scaling as you scale into grocery? I mean, how do you balance the mainstream retail with sort of that premium placement?
Yeah, it's tough. I think I think that's a big part of growing that on-premise, the on-premise channel in tandem with the off-premise, because people associate the beer with where they've seen them and experience that beer. So, for example, that person has been at their favorite brewery and they're having a non-alc, so it lends that credibility to quality. Same thing with like the Michelin star restaurants or the high-end hotels that we're in, is that association with our partners. I think that really helps reinforce that. But we'd really want to focus on is in-store marketing and education, highlighting our ingredients, ensuring people know that like where are the ingredients coming from. They're same as the craft beer that you would typically have, and just reinforcing that story. Because I think a lot of what people see on shelf right now is, they'll have the legacy brands, the big brands, and, you don't have any insight into like what's in them, what makes it special. So we'll be investing a lot into displays, giving a little bit more backstory on that to make sure that the brand comes through beyond just the box.
All right. I think we're at time here for questions.
Thanks.
So I am Lane. Thank you so much. Great conversation. And Jimmy and Doug, thank you for the questions. Jeff, want to tell us a little bit about Lane while our folks score the brand, and then we'll get to our last contestant.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Tom. Lane and his brother Lee from the Great White North. I think it's a great tasting product. I think they won a bunch of tasting contests, which I think is always great and underplayed by brands, because taste is such a difficult thing to say because everybody thinks they've got the best tasting product. But winning awards, I think that's a good shtick to be able to, lean on, because it's legit stuff. I love the draft idea that they've done. I think what I like most about Lane is honesty and his humbleness. He nonchalantly told me that, when we first met, he nonchalantly told me that he's won several taste awards, and then later told me that he had a 45% repeat. I'm like, you're just telling me that you have a 45% repeat now? I mean, that's fantastic. You should be leading heavy with that. And I think it's because the product tastes so good. They both, Lane and Lee, both have really strong backgrounds. Lane worked at Shopify for a number of years, and Lee been in the beer industry. So, I got to think that, when they get to Shopify and beer, it's going to be a really good combination. Just a really good guy. They have twin girls, and it's a family business, and just really impressed with, how they were kind of bringing it all together.
Yeah, Lane, when I first met Lane, the first thing I heard from him was, I just had twins. Can we do this next week? So, all right, with that, we are going to ask Lane to go back to the audience. And Lane, hopefully we'll see you later. And with that, Jenna, if you can bring up our last participant. All right. And with that, Susan, if you could do the introduction, please.
Sure. Our last contestant is Michael Crosby, Tatsu Tea. Designed by martial arts experts, Tatsu Tea delivers holistic, clean energy and focus without crash or anxiety. Complete body and mind wellness and performance using authentic Japanese matcha. Take it away, Michael.
And again, another fantastic tasting drink. And I generally don't like matcha drinks. This is absolutely delicious. So, Michael, we can't see you yet. There you are.
There we go. I was in stealth mode for you guys.
Okay, and if you can share your screen, we'll get your 7 minutes started.
Absolutely. By the way, I love that intro too, Tom. That's perfect. That was the entire intent of the brand, is to make people that didn't like matcha love it. Although maybe I'm giving it away. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, we can. So you're on the clock. You have 7 minutes.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you guys for having us. It's an honor to be able to pitch here. I hate trying to follow all the other awesome brands, but we will do our best. So Our company is Tatsu Tea, and our mission is to contribute in our own small way, hopefully someday in a big way, to helping everybody perform better and be healthier. We all know the problem. Actually, you guys have heard it several times today, but everybody wants to be healthier. Everybody wants to perform better. Everybody wants to have the energy to get through school, get through work, pick up their kids, travel, or even recover from a late night out. So most of us have another cup of coffee, or as we've heard, have an energy drink, or we eat something we shouldn't. The issue is coffee makes you crash, and most energy drinks are loaded with excess caffeine, artificial sweeteners that you can't pronounce, or artificial ingredients that you can't pronounce, and excess sugar. So just look at the headlines or the lawsuits. So our secret weapon is matcha. Matcha is an amazing super ingredient and a natural plant-based fuel source. Matcha has been shown time and time again to have a host of health benefits for both the mind and the body. It boosts heart health, metabolism, immunity, enhances focus, and reduces anxiety. Studies are even showing that it can be helpful as an alternative therapy to ADHD, which I have. So if any of you have seen me bumble around on any of the videos that we post on social, it's probably just because I haven't had my Tatsu that day. But it's also shown to be good for oral health, for skin, for hair, et cetera, and even a host of other conditions that if I made the claims here, the FDA may come after me, so we won't talk about them, but it truly is an amazing ingredient. Due to the unique way in which matcha is grown, it's incredibly rich in antioxidants, and it's naturally high in L-theanine, which emits a calming effect that causes the caffeine to be released over longer periods of time. So there's no spike, there's no crash. And because matcha is the only tea that you consume the whole leaf of, as opposed to other teas that are steeped, you get more of the benefits that matcha offers. And so while many people love matcha, others are not fans of the natural grassy flavor. So the solution is meet next gen matcha. We formulated the world's first matcha performance tea, taking all the benefits of Japanese matcha, blending them with electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals for immunity. Our breakthrough formula removes matcha's grassy flavor to create the first truly good tasting, ready to drink matcha. We believe that a delicious, ready to drink matcha can be the next big thing in beverage. So Tatsu has only 52 milligrams of caffeine, about half of a cup of coffee. It's low in calories with only 10 calories. It has no added sugar, has electrolytes for hydration, vitamin C and zinc for immune support, and it's naturally high, as I mentioned, in L-theanine and antioxidants. We believe that Tatsu is the perfect healthy replacement for coffee and energy drink. So our company started organically when our partner Todd, a registered dietitian and a top martial artist, fell in love with matcha while traveling and training in Japan. As a dietitian, he was fascinated with the myriad of health benefits that matcha offers. And as a martial artist, it was compelling to learn that matcha has been used for thousands of years, going back to the samurai who used it prior to going into battle for sustained energy, and Buddhist monks who used it for sustained focus while meditating. Todd questioned whether you could cross the functional benefits of matcha with the electrolytes of a Pedialyte and the immunity of an emergency to create the ultimate performance or recovery drink. And with this, the idea for Tatsu was born. So back in the US, Todd partnered with the rest of the Tatsu founders to continue to refine the concept until the team had something that we were in love with. We didn't do this to launch a company. We did this to solve our own problem, and because we loved the drink and loved its benefits. So while making it to solve our own problem and our own challenges with finding a healthy recovery drink, we began to offer it to others that we trained with and investors that we knew in the Philadelphia area, and the response was just amazing. Our team is truly different. We're a team made up of elite combat sport athletes that are driven by a purpose to help people perform better, be safer, and healthier above all else. We run our company proudly on the principles of jiu-jitsu, being humble, patient, efficient, and moving only when we have maximum leverage. We know what it's like to get punched in the face, quite literally. If you guys could probably see me close enough, I think I have a black eye right now. We also know what it's like to be comfortable in discomfort, which is often the case in startups, and we know what it takes to win. Our founders, as I mentioned, are all high-level combat sport athletes and include a registered dietitian, world champion jiu-jitsu black belt, and serial entrepreneurs. And myself, well, actually the lowly purple belt on the team, I've spent the last 2 decades working with startups and as a venture capital and emerging business attorney, and I've been a co-founder of four startups that have exited, including as a co-founder on the Venmo team. Our advisory board, I think, is even more impressive. One thing I will say after watching every other pitch is I think we need to have Jeff on this slide, so I'm working on that. I should not win unless I have him. But we have amazing advisors like Michael Zuckerman, who ran the world's largest beverage bottling company and has been a beverage investor for the last 30 years. Ron Coughlin, who was a chief marketing officer with Pepsi, most recently being the CEO of Petco. Ben Greenfield, one of the top health and wellness professionals in the world. David Bell, who was a Wharton professor and the father of direct-to-consumer selling, and many others that I don't have time to get through on this pitch. So the market opportunity is huge. I think as everybody's already said. In 2023, I don't have this on the slide, but functional teas alone were listed at almost 8 billion and are expected to grow to 12.5 billion in 2032. And notably, all of the studies have shown that matcha tea has shown a surge of interest around the world recently.
About a minute, Michael.
Thank you. And so, of course, there are a lot of competitors in beverage. We've already said that, and there's a lot of new teas coming out. Teas are some of the fastest growing segments in the beverage industry, and there's a number of people that are looking to do green teas or matcha teas. But Tatsu is different. First, nobody is doing matcha the way that we are. And second, while many drinks claim to be healthy, a closer look at their labels show that's really not the case. They add sugar, which suppresses the immune system. They use untested ingredients. They have excess caffeine, or they utilize sugar substitutes like sucralose or erythritol, which have a host of other health problems. And as you'll see, many drinks now also say they include L-theanine, but the difference is the L-theanine in Tatsu is from matcha and it's naturally occurring, which studies show can enhance the effectiveness and absorption and health impact. So we have a very focused rollout and marketing strategy. We're Philly, fitness, and MMA. In 2024, our goal was to test in approximately 50 independent retailers and confirm product market fit. Also working on refining our packaging, relaunching our website, and scaling our manufacturing, and adding a little bit of supply chain redundancy. We've spent all of our time in Philadelphia marketing organically. We've spent $0 on outside marketing at this point. This year, we're expanding our footprint in the independent and alternative channels. We're launching regionally with 2 focused DSDs, Penn Beer and Coalition Beverage, both of whom we have preferential pricing with. We've also been recently given the nod at a top national natural retailer that we'll be launching at this summer.
30 seconds, Michael.
10 seconds. We've raised $500,000. We are super excited because we are an ultra lean, patient, highly focused team with an amazing tasting product fueled by a super ingredient that we believe can help Tatsu grow to be the next great beverage and performance brand, similar to how prebiotics help Olipop scale to $1 billion brand itself, just minus the lawsuit. And forgive me for any investors in Olipop. It is a great brand.
All right, we're gonna ask Natalie to begin our questioning today, and I guess we should congratulate Michael on a Eagles championship, right?
Yes.
So with
Yeah.
that,
Eagles.
I'll turn it over to Natalie.
Well, Michael, go Birds, and did a really good job presenting. I think, it's really thoughtful. It's super story led. I think you're really kind of connecting the brand to like a point of origin that kind of branches out across its value system, which I think is really cool. And the mentality behind the tea, I think, can really speak to people. I think you have done a really cool job like aligning benefits with a goal for consumers and kind of meeting a need for a type of person. So
thank you
really
so much.
cool. I am a matcha fan.
Yes.
So that speaks to me individually as a consumer. But my main question is really around, merchandising the product. I'd love to learn a little bit more around your customer, the use cases, and then also just how you thought about packaging kind of in that, how you're reaching that customer at that time that they want to grab Tatsu.
Certainly. All wonderful questions. It's something I'll say that, we spent a lot of time thinking about over the last year. I mean, to start, well, first of all, I would say, we believe internally, and this is the wrong answer for everybody on this call, we believe Tatsu is for everybody, anybody that wants to perform better at whatever it is they do. We also understand that if you try to be everything to everyone, you're nothing to anybody. So we need to start small and with a niche. in our niche, one that's readily available to us and which has just been our passion for most of our lives has been the combat sports world. So we're very, very well plugged into that network. And so leveraging our network in jiu-jitsu and MMA, in the UFC, will really be the first set of customers we go after. And all of them are looking for something healthier, something that's better for you. So, I think it's a story that really resonates. And two of our co-founders, our co-founders, Phil and Rick, are both world champions. They're very, very well respected in this industry. So just hearing them talk, and it's extremely natural. Like, you hear our co-founder Rick talk. He was on a podcast recently where somebody was asking, like, why do you, and by the way, Rick, we actually had to convince to do it. Rick was like, oh, I don't endorse anything. Why would I get involved? And we said, just try it yourself. And he did a 20-day trial on himself. And he's like, I came home, and this is actually on our website now, so people can see this line. But he's like, I came home, and my wife thought I was on coke because I just had so much energy, and I was able to play with the kids, and I was able to pick them up, and it was like something I couldn't do before. I just had more energy for my family than I ever did. So, like, I think that really speaks to that market. In terms of reaching everybody else that we want to reach, I mean, I think we're going to leverage local first. In Philadelphia, we are a local Philadelphia brand. We've noticed that translates really well into early sales where people are starting to understand the benefits of the product. We've recently relaunched the site. We're coming out with new white cans. We'll have, both a performance line as well as just sort of an iced tea line that we think are going to help launch consumers a little bit better. And then, similar to what was said on some other calls, I mean, honestly, a lot of this is we want to go independence where we can partner with them. Independence gyms, we will show up at every gym we get into and do a self-defense event, do a tasting event. We're going to universities across the country where we can start doing self-defense events for women, these sort of things. So we can really tie in everything that we do is hopefully a form of value-added marketing, and that you can really get to know the brand a little bit better. I mean, we're about helping people be healthier, helping them perform better, helping them defend themselves. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I think, if I'm kind of like going to reach for a beverage, I think like there are a couple of different benefits that I want out of it. And I think like my last question before I turn it over is really around where do you kind of hope to source customers from? Are they already drinking matcha beverages? Are they participating in a behavioral change? Are they like prioritizing health when they had previously been drinking Red Bull, or just trying to understand like who you're pulling customers away from or how you're kind of integrating with their life?
Yeah, can I say yes? All of the above. No, I mean, I think certainly the low-hanging fruit is is the health conscious consumer. I would not say necessarily just matcha drinkers. Matcha drinkers have loved this, but it's a smaller market, and I think it's a smaller segment of the market. What we love more than anything, although there is more money that gets put behind this or would have to, is taking somebody. In fact, one of I don't know if anybody on this call ever watches the UFC, but the UFC 1, 2, 3, 4 champion is a very good friend of ours, and he's a great influencer in the space. And he came over at one point with us, and he said, "I absolutely hate matcha," and and then took a sip of ours, jokingly spit it out, and actually said, "This is the best thing I've ever drank." And so I think like when people try it and they're like, "Oh wow," and to us like that's the secret. It's like you can take this ingredient that everybody wants to like, and it's kind of trendy right now, certainly on the coast and those sort of things, and you can actually truly enjoy it. So I think we love having those converts, but I mean, the short answer is it's going to be, events with health and wellness groups, like Spartan Race. I know somebody else posted on. We're very close with Joe DeSena. We'll be doing events with the Spartan Race. We'll be doing a ton of events at different gyms, and so I think that's really how we're looking to reach people.
Erik, I'm going to call on you. We have time for one more question. So if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. This is a question that really hasn't been asked of anybody today, I think, and it has to go to your startup management team. It's a big team.
Yes.
How many of you are working full-time in the business, and and if some or all of you aren't, when will you be?
Yeah, so it's a wonderful question. I will say, we look at ourselves like a lot of great founders that do have, that we wear several hats. I mean, I currently co-chair the Emerging Business and Venture Capital Group at the law firm Cozen O'Connor. Some of our other partners do have other ventures they're involved in. So we have I'd say two of the team members are full-time at this point. The other two, Phil and Rick, you know, aren't but don't really need to be, and we would never want them to be. They're really what I would call our sort of chief brand officers. Both of them are influencers in their own right. They own and control gyms across the United States. So their value is really continuing to do what they do and bring the brand out, you know, in that sense. So those two really won't. You know, in terms of other folks coming on full time, we don't think we'll need it in 2025, but I would think we'll probably add two to three other folks full time towards the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026. And otherwise, you know, we have a fractional CFO, fractional marketing support, you know, all of those sort of things that we're going to try to leverage as long as we can, just for flexibility and given, you know, the cost profile is a lot better for us.
Thanks, Michael.
Right. Thank you, Michael, for a great presentation, and again, a really great tasting tea from my perspective. So with that, I'm going to ask Jeff, future advisor for Tatsu Tea, to give a couple comments on Michael while our judges finish scoring. So Jeff, if you could take a minute.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Michael. Great job. I really enjoy getting to know Michael. It's not many accelerators that you can have a partner, experienced partner with VC background in deals in your accelerator group. So he was a blessing to have for the other participants and to have in the group. I think, you know, matcha. I'm a Midwestern meat and potatoes guy, so matcha to me is about as far as I can go. But I've always said if somebody can do matcha well, you know, they're going to do really, really well. And I think this matcha product has been done really, really well. I can drink it, and again, for me to be able to drink matcha, that's a big deal. So I think he's done it thoughtfully with the L-theanine as part of it, but also the caffeine level at about 50 milligrams of caffeine. I think that's a good level because I know we see with the brand, one of the brands, Junie, I work with, that, you know, it has about 30 milligrams. That people like that afternoon pickup, you know, of that kind of 30 to 50 milligrams of pickup of caffeine, and it doesn't keep them up at night later. I think that's a really good thing for, you know, for them and what they've got going. And I also think from a networking standpoint, I think because Michael's group is older, they've been around the block, so they've got a lot of good contacts, and, you know, even just Michael Zuckerman, you know, with what he can do from a can standpoint is massive. And then I think these 8 combat sport athletes are certainly interesting because I can't imagine them being at a demo and having somebody tell them that they didn't like the flavor. Yeah, I'm sure they get all five O's on their scores, but really great little brand. And I love the fact that, you know, they actually don't need money at the moment, and, you know, they've got they can own this little Philadelphia market and then from there expand out. I think it's a nice model for them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael. We're going to return you to the audience, and we'll hopefully see you in a minute. So thank you so much. All right. With that, Jenna, I think we are going to thank our coaches. We certainly will be thanking our judges before this is over, but we had several people who volunteered to coach these brands for their pitch. It's a big part of what we do at Brandjectory to make sure, you know, these brands get one-on-one contact with excellent investors. So with that, I just want to thank Craig Hutson, Erik Coonrod, Fabian Gosselin, Bruce Nierenberg, and Jonathan Rich, all good friends of Brandjectory, and all people who have really helped support young brands and feel it's important to give back. So I really want to thank these folks. I've seen some of them in the audience, so thank you so much. With that, Jenna, we are going to ask the audience that are still online here to poll for their what they feel was the best brand, and then we will announce the winners. So Jenna, if you could get that poll up real quick. All right. Okay. All right. So with that, Jenna, if you could please put up the winner and tell us who it is.
All right, big drum roll, everyone. You all had great pitches, and also thank you to all the brands for dealing with me in my emails. And the winner is Simon from Huxley.
Hey, congrats, Simon.
Simon, I'm going to ask you to join us here for a minute, and just so we can see you. And Simon was the winner of the the audience poll too. So Simon, are you here with us?
Yes, thank you. I'm flattered.
You did a great job, Simon, and I think everybody saw that. It was a tough tough result here for everybody, but we really thank you. And Jeff, you want to say anything?
I think I said it. I mean, I said it before with Simon, but I just think he's got that. He's got that, that X factor with him that I think the judges probably saw too, and really impressed. I think the other brands are amazing, but I'm really impressed that Simon won it, and congratulations, Simon. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. And with that, Jenna, if you could pop up our last screen, please. I really want to thank, first off, Jeff Church for asking us to participate with him in this. We have another event coming up on March 14th for some of the other brands that were in Jeff's Accelerator. You can find all that on our website. And thank the brands, WheyUp, Huxley, Tatsu, G7, Nonny. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for going through the process that we like to have here at Brandjectory to make sure everybody's ready. Special thanks to Doug, Erik, Jimmy, Mollye, Natalie, and our coaches, Craig, Erik, Fabian, Bruce, and Jonathan. We really do appreciate your support here at Brandjectory and how much support you do give us with all our events and participation. If you want to reach out to Jeff, I know he's available at jeff@teamchurch.co. If that's correct, Jeff.
Yep, I loved it.
And you can reach out to me, Susan, or Jenna, Tom@brandjectory.com, Susan@brandjectory.com, or Jenna@brandjectory.com. And we're happy to talk to any brands about what we do at Brandjectory. And we're also excited to talk to other investors and to any service providers. So with that, do any of our investors have one last thing to say before we go?
Great job, everybody. It was really, really nice meeting you.
Yeah, great job, everyone.
Congratulations on all the
Meeting
success and continued success and fortune. Look forward to watching, seeing you on the shelves.
All right, Jeff, any last comments?
No, amazing job. 1 o'clock exactly. Good, great job organizing all this stuff, Tom.
And any last comments from Susan?
No, thank you to everyone. Congratulations to the winner, and this was wonderful. Thank you
All
for
right,
being here.
Jeff, thank you again for being willing to have us on board. And again, thank you to all the investors, and congratulations to Simon. Thanks everybody for being here.
See you guys. Thank you.